So let me tell you about privilege. Depending on the environment you're in, what kind of privilege you have, it could be a privilege or it could also be a handicap. So talking about white privilege, American privilege, black privilege, yes, we do have some privilege. Or the privilege of being rich. It could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what environment you are in. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And we will catch you guys after the intro. Welcome to the 7997 podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Chris, and this is my lovely wife, Jackie.
Hello.
And as always, every week we are trying to get closer to each other and closer to you guys. So this week we are talking about getting closer to your own ups and downs, privileges and handicaps. Because believe it or not, we talk about privilege a lot, I think, in the U.S. now, and it's really much I don't say a buzzword of some sort, but we understand it's been uncovered, it's been exposed that certain people have privilege.
And it normally relates to being Caucasian or, white.
Or male.
And male.
Yeah.
Tall, handsome, powerful, rich.
Yeah, all those things.
All those things. That I'm not.
I would say you're quite handsome.
Oh, well, thanks, I think.
I don't know. But we all have privilege in some way, and that privilege may be a bonus or it may turn into a handicap depending on the environment you're in.
That's so true.
So we're talking about our privileges this week, and the environment we're talking about it in is Mexico. So we'll start with the most glaring privilege, which is white privilege, which is the one that we always... I'm going to need you to be awake through this.
I'm up.
I know. She's tired.
It's late.
We try to make it happen, y'all.
Hope
y'all feel the pain that we're going through to fight through and sit in front of a camera under a hot light and talk about
And I asked him, like, "Babe, can we record another night?" He's like, "I'm not flaking out. I'm good. I'm good." And I'm over here being all discreet. And what do? You put me on blast.
It's not discreet. They see that you're doing this.
No, but I could be, just having a little gas. They don't know. They don't know. Oh, you annoying.
You know how you get that little shake when you start yawning, trying to hold in.
I was trying to come.
No, you faking the yawn. Okay, come on. White privilege in Mexico.
It's a thing.
It's a thing, and like you think about it as not only white privilege among those from America coming down, or Canada, expats coming down, but also amongst Mexicans because they are white too.
Spaniards.
Right.
They're European.
Or mixed or whatever the situation is.
And I've heard some of them say it. They're like the native Mexicans or the more ethnic Mexicans. Especially, how do I say it? They have a terminology. I don't know what it is. If you know it, drop in the comments. But normally they come from Mexico City. And those tend to be the Spaniard, more Caucasian looking, and it seems like, I guess, more wealth or, prestige, privilege.
Yeah.
And they talk about each other, so it's a thing.
Yeah, the dynamic is in America as well as in Mexico. Even looking at the Republican Party in America, certain people like a Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz who are trying to leverage the whiteness that they have as being Hispanic. Because even, you look at a job application, are you black or are you a non-Hispanic black? Are you white or are you non-Hispanic?
All they want to know is what kind of brown
what kind of other
are you?
So there is a movement within the Republican Party to bring in the more white Hispanics in order to raise their numbers, in order to,
because they tend to lean Republican.
Try and get a little bit more control. So, whiteness is, I guess, looking for new members, is what we're saying.
Coming. They've got
in America, at least.
And Indian, too.
Yeah, you can see that a little bit.
I'm
for
just
sure.
saying.
For sure.
Yeah.
But in Mexico, is there white privilege? Now, I can't speak very intellectually or intelligently about the Mexican side of it.
That is correct.
But for the white side of it, I think there isn't as much.
You mean the white American?
The white American, white expat privilege. And when I talk about that in the things that they're able to do in America, the things that they're able to weaponize, they can't really weaponize here in the same way.
Correct. They can just be annoyed. You can hear them suck their teeth. You can see they roll their eyes or see you like, oh my God, I can't believe you're here too. That's all they can do.
Yeah.
There is no 911, and make up a fake story.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
I don't know if there is an assumed sense of innocence with it. When we look at, I think in situations where there's police involved or legalities, do they assume that the white American is guilty? Or is there no assumption? Is there no prejudice against it? I'm not sure about that.
Haven't surveyed.
Can't say a lot of that, but I do know have been some folks within San Miguel that are hustlers, con folks, con people. One particular white woman who goes around and causing trouble in multiple ways. And when she was arrested, there was literally people out there with their phones and recording her arrest. And people on Facebook, when they share this video, they're like clapping and applauding and happy that she got taken down.
Caught.
Yeah. So I feel like there's probably some amount of, animus versus gringos who come down and want to take advantage of people. And I think throughout the history of man, white folks have been very big on taking advantage of other folks. I think they also look at gringos in general and even white gringos as being someone that they can get money out of. There are dollar signs on people coming into town.
I think that's an American thing too.
And I think it's an American thing as well.
Been to Africa and they're like, ooh, sister, come in, like, oh Lord, they think I got some money. I ain't got no money. I think that's an American thing too.
Yeah, and I think American privilege is a thing here, but it also feels like all these things feel like you're targeted as well sometimes because they know you're a gringo, and you'll see like real estate listings. A lot of them, they'll post it up and they won't put a price. They'll say, oh, direct message me for a price. And if you direct message them, they're sort of feeling out who you are and how much you'll pay. And I think
what's your budget?
Right. Like, what does it cost?
Your budget, right?
And a lot of places will put out a higher price. And if you get in there and you talk to them and negotiate, they'll actually bring the price down. But if you, don't know any better, you'll just go and pay the first price you get.
Because we're comparing it to our standard from back home.
Right.
Like, oh, at home, this would have been $3,000.
Yeah.
And I can do it for $1,500. And then, but really, it should have just been $1,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Take advantage.
So there is, that kind of handicap to being American or, being white. But I also think there is a privilege in that just the relations that the United States and Mexico have, because we're American, we have an easier path to get in and become residents and have a life here.
Because they do not restrict the border the way that we restrict the border on the other side.
Right. We can basically come across.
I had no idea, y'all. I had no idea.
Get 180 days on a visa, fly out, land, come back in, get another 180 days. And that works a lot of the time in a lot of the places.
They have to have a work visa, a student visa. They have to be approved.
Go through a whole application process. There's a whole lot of stuff.
I had no idea. I had no idea the ease in which our American passports provide. I didn't know until I learned. There's
literally hundreds of countries where if you're an American, you can land, and on landing, you might fill out one piece of paperwork and you have a visa for up to 90, 180 days. So being an American, around the world is a privilege in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And then also even with the money, because then the USD has a higher value. So now you can come in and, you can spend more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just eat, just like that. You're not even on a even playing field.
Yeah, like the US dollar has more power than we even realize sometimes.
Yeah.
So I was watching this video lately of I'm not gonna remember his name, but he's a Nigerian YouTuber. And he travels a lot, but he always has problems going certain places with his Nigerian passport. So he finally has gotten his channel big enough and he's made enough money where he could go to St. Kitts in Nevis and then do some investment there, and he gets a passport for St. Kitts.
Oh, and
now he has access to all these places that he couldn't go before, just because he now has a St. Kitts passport.
And that's something.
Because a lot of places where if you invest in the country, $100,000, something like that, they'll basically make you a citizen and give you a passport. So like a lot of the like big capitalists, people with more money will kind of do that and have safe haven in a couple places where they're looking at how if the U.S. goes under or something, I can go to Panama and go to Portugal,
I can
Malaysia,
go to Jamaica, I can go to
places.
Bahamas.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll have citizenship and I have a passport there. So you might have 4 or 5 different passports because you got enough money to buy you a passport.
Man,
basically.
I can't wait for that. That'd be dope.
That'd be really nice.
That's gonna be dope. Like, which passport we gonna use today?
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some of the
Life
handicaps
goals.
you have, I think, as an American, is that there are people that are going to look you automatically as a gentrifier, as an invader, as someone who's coming in to
Cause trouble.
to take.
And because we have privilege, people know we have privilege. So they can look at us the same way we look at other people we believe have more privilege than us.
Yeah.
They look at us the same way.
And there's automatic anger in it. Like, I know you have privilege. I know you
let's
have an
be clear.
advantage.
It is not positive.
And it's not fair that you have that.
It's not warm and fuzzy.
And I don't like it because of that.
Let's be abundantly clear. It is not the warm and fuzzies. It's the, here we go. Here's another American. You know, we're going to be loud, demanding, pushy, you know, just all of those things. And I think they get a kick out of the fact that we're not those things. You know, we come in and we may not be smiling as soon as we walk in, but very quickly it's, hey, you know, hola, buenos dias, buenos tardes, you know, just whatever. And it's, you know, they're entreating us. You know what I mean? I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That we, you know, try to immerse ourselves like that.
Yeah.
Because it's a burden.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't like that. I don't like to be looked at, okay, here comes another gringo. Okay, they're gonna be demanding, they're gonna be rude, because we rolled up on something like that, or we've been in spaces and places, and I've had to, and I don't have to, but I've done it, apologize for my comrade. You know what I mean?
Like, we're not all like this.
We're not all like, sorry.
She's a jerk at home too. Like, you know.
Sorry. Yikes.
And we get a lot of that negative energy. I don't see it very much in person when I'm here on a day-to-day basis, but of course on the internet, where there are no rules, regulations.
The internets.
Where you're all anonymous and your keyboard is the strongest keyboard in the universe.
And you ain't in San Miguel gonna say it to our face.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get all the hatred in the comments. You know, go back home, gringo, we don't want you here. And like, it's maybe 10% of the comments. It's not.
It's not a lot.
overwhelming. Most of what we get is love, for sure, and we appreciate all that. But a video like this, I guarantee there's going to be somebody on there who goes and says something negative.
Yeah, but privilege is real.
It is,
and it's not just for white. Like we're trying to be very open-minded about it and very clear-eyed. I'll say, not even open-minded, but clear-eyed. Because I'll even say this: going to South Africa, I realized I had privilege by being an American. There is a totem pole, and I think we need to be honest and understand that it does exist. Who is the highest person on the totem pole? Who is the lowest person on the totem pole? And if you really want to get open and honest, you can ask the why. Why is that succession of order the way that it is? But my experience going to South Africa, the indigenous Africans were the lowest people on the totem pole. The white South Africans were the ones that were highest on the totem pole. And then, but I, as an American, even though I'm black, even though, you know, DNA takes me right back to the continent, but being an American, it trumped being African in Africa.
Right, which is ridiculous.
Brought me to tears when I learned their system. So privilege is privilege, and it just depends on where you are.
Yeah, and I will say, like, the black privilege I think we have in Mexico is that they understand what we have gone through in America. And they understand, when they look at black folks, they understand why we're here.
Because they be like, it sucks. We see the news.
We get what's going on. We see Trump too. We see the hatred, the racism. We get all the news too.
We see the violence because they have family there too.
Exactly.
So they get it. They're like, they know.
Yeah. Yeah.
They very wise. But I have a privilege that you don't have on your list. And I don't want to sound persnickety in a way.
Persnickety?
I don't know how else to say it.
Okay.
There's a cool factor.
Sure.
We
are creators of culture, yes.
We, being Black Americans, and again, this is not necessarily puff us up because we are Black, but if you just open and honest and you think about culture and where we come from, most popular music, fashion,
dance, fashion,
food,
yeah.
Sports. Black people are very innovative and amazing at their art and the things that we produce, and so we have a cool factor privilege. You had on your list. I'm good. Aren't you glad I stayed up?
Barely. I will say, I think part of because they know why we're here and why we may have left America, there's also sort of a closer sense of kinship of Black and brown people than it may be with, brown and white people. On both sides of the fence, we both were oppressed by them. So there's some sort of kinship there. And even in America, you'll see that in certain spaces, which is really interesting. You'll see it in New York where Black and brown people are tight.
Like Dominicans and da-da-da-da.
Yeah, you go to California and Black and brown people are at odds. So, there's different, I think, narratives around that.
And different experiences.
Right. But it seems like here, for the most part, I think they, you have family on the other side or they've been on the other side across the border into America, and they understand what is actually going on with Black folks in the country, and a lot of it kind of hits the brown people the same way. So I think they feel a little bit closer sense of kinship when they get here.
And you're talking about Black people when another Black person moves here, or are you talking about Mexicans and Blacks?
I think Mexicans and Blacks, but I think there's, Black people always have a sense of kinship, no matter. Particularly if we're a minority within a space, we're always going to gravitate towards each other regardless.
Yeah, for sure.
So we do have, in San Miguel, we have a pretty good-sized Black population here now. And it's very supportive and very, clustered, and we all kind of stay in our little corner and still reach out as well. So we're all very connected in that way and help each other out. And, there's a good, strong community around that. So there's definitely, kinship, I think, on both sides of we're going to be together as Black folks here in a foreign land, but also the foreigners are like, hey, we understand what y'all going through. Coming a little bit closer to our community as well.
Yeah, and the one thing too about Mexicans, from my understanding, is that they don't have that baggage that we have.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? So it's just welcome, bienvenidos. You know what I mean? Okay, great, you're Black.
So what?
Yeah, so what? And it was so interesting today, talking to one of the drivers, and I said, you getting ready? He actually spoke fluent English. So you getting ready for Independence Day. And he's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be wild, tequila and mascara. He's like, oh, I'm gonna have so much fun. And then he asked me, when is our Independence Day? And I told him it's July 4th. And I was just about to say, but there is a segment of Americans, mostly brown, who really have given up on July 4th because of the air that's there.
Right.
Growing up, everybody celebrates July 4th. Yeah. And if you always find a barbecue, we gonna throw down the barbecue on July 4th because we off. Most of us off. Yeah. However, our heart isn't in it anymore. That head space and that heart space has been changed over the past 10 years.
But you always say, Angela Rye says, we built this joint for free.
We built this joint for free. And this is how you treat us. So, especially with the popularization and education around Juneteenth and things like that, it's like that July 4th was not for us. You know what I mean? Because of all the things that were still going on. You're still enslaved. We weren't free. They're trying to get free from this, but they enslaved others. And so it's it's not my holiday. It's my country's holiday. But for me, a group of people that I represent, it really wasn't for us. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it took me everything. Took everything in me, y'all, to keep this mouth shut because I didn't want to, in the manner of speaking, air our dirty laundry. When he knows I'm from the States, that's that. When is y'all's Independence Day? And I just said July 4th, and I left it alone. You know?
Yeah.
I left it alone.
Sometimes it's not even... Like sometimes you talk about that stuff, it makes you angry. So like you don't want to get yourself upset. I don't necessarily care myself about airing our dirty laundry because it's not a secret. You know, it's all over the place. I think most of the time, like I just don't want to.
Just don't want to rehash it.
I don't want to rehash it, and I came here to not have to, you know, it be in my face all day, every day. I don't have to see it hanging off the back of a, you know, lifted pickup truck with the big old huge tires and the trumpet, the American flag rolling down the street. So, you know, you just want to kind of like leave that stuff behind to some extent. Not necessarily ignore it, but, you know, we're here in this space having conversations, so it doesn't go away.
Right.
What I will do is talk about the final piece of privilege.
Oh.
And I have not found the downside to this privilege. There's no handicap to it. But if you're rich.
Okay. Buy us a coffee.
I don't know if there's any place where
having money is a negative.
Really a handicap ever? In Mexico, for sure not.
I think having money is if there is any handicap, is when that money dictates how you are as a person. Yeah. That's what I think. So if it hits your head and your heart and you think you're better than and others are less than, that's when I think it's a handicap. But if you could have money and still be kind, and, you know, I'm not even saying like go and give it all away, but what I am saying is treat people with respect and decency and not think that you are better than because you have more, then you cool. But yeah, you can be handicapped to me in your head and your heart.
I will say there's also a situation when you talk about people that like live within their bubble, they never learn the language. I think sometimes money can influence that, feed that. You know, I got this money and I can have my big beautiful house up on the hill and I can pay these people to go run my errands for me and do this, and I can pay somebody to be my interpreter with me if I go outside. And like it kind of insulates you if you use it to keep yourself blocked away from other people.
That's so interesting.
Because you could be having a much more immersive experience here. But the fact that you can't afford to have all these other people around you and helping you could sometimes put a wall between you
so
and
the word is enable.
Society. Right, yeah.
I don't want to get too deep, but there are a whole lot of rich people that should still be alive. They would be alive if they were not rich.
Right around enablers, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Paid for enablers.
Correct. Correct. Because they were able to pay their way to drinking and drugging because of who they were. And they're no longer here with us. Yeah. You know what I mean? So absolutely, money can be a privilege. It can definitely be a vehicle to take you anywhere you want to go. And that could be to an early grave, or that could be around the world jet setting. But there are positives and negatives for all of it. It really just depends on how you use it, because you can weaponize being white, weaponize being black, weaponize being rich, weaponize being American, or you can own who you are, be okay with that, and still be able to have a positive existence and walk through this thing we call life and not hurt nobody just because you are ... kind of a person. You know what I'm saying?
And I will say, like, we are far from rich.
So little pesos. So little.
But we did have the privilege of having enough money to make this transition
thank the Lord.
Pretty seamless.
Seamlessly.
Right. So I had a job that paid us enough that, you know, even when she couldn't take her job with her and she had to leave that job, we had enough to be fine. Even when we had, you know, another house he was still paying for in North Carolina and a house here, we were fine.
God is good.
It was tight. It was tough, but we were fine. And like, I think if I were at a younger age, I think we're trying to impart this to our, kids now. Like, if you wanted to make a move like this, you don't necessarily need to have a lot of money. You need to have some money. But like, we live in a time now where COVID has shown us that we can all work remotely. Where if you can afford to, pay for your computer, you can
And
work
some
a job from that
internets.
computer and go live anywhere.
Or if you can provide a service.
Or you could provide a service.
Work with your
You can be a
hands.
massage therapist and go travel and massage.
You can be a chef and go cook some chicken.
There's ways that you can kind of make moving around happen. And I think, at least in our community, I don't think a lot of us fully realize that. I think, the younger white kids who backpack through Europe.
Go find themselves.
And there's plenty
We
that,
never had that privilege.
do that on daddy's dime. And there's some that do that just by waiting tables from place to place. And all it needs a little
Because
bit
they
of money.
realize, I ain't got to be
I
stuck
just need
here.
a few dollars to kind of make it from here to here, and I can stay in a hostel, and all I have is a backpack.
Right.
Like, there are ways to
That
kind of
minimalist
travel
lifestyle.
and see the minimalist,
But a lot of us just don't have that thought,
we
that
don't even know that
concept.
that's a thing. We think we have to have more and more and more, and like, you could really streamline your life and really go be gone. And,
That's so interesting you say that.
Because even now we think about it, and like, if we wanted to, we could live out of a suitcase. And you always say you want to travel everywhere. We could literally just travel in a suitcase from place to place and enjoy life that way. So on that note, we're going to shut it down for tonight. We've done, 3 episodes? It's getting late.
Bless us, Lord.
The debate was tonight.
That debate,
So
we'll talk about
that's
another
enough,
time. Another time.
To wear you out for sure. So for sure, we're going to, get your merch.
Yeah, get your swag.
Like, comment, subscribe. Go to the website, 7997.life.
The numbers, y'all.
Talk about your life a little bit with us, about how maybe you might want to move to Mexico, and we can share our experience with you. Schedule a consultation.
Yep, we're doing that now because you guys have asked. So we just want to be
You guys
helpful.
keep asking, so we are providing. What else is there? Is that it?
Would like, comment,
There's so
subscribe.
many things to keep track of now.
Yeah,
I tell you.
But wait. Thank you.
Yes.
We got to say that. Just thank you guys for staying engaged, for encouraging us, for leaving comments, for leaving critiques, asking questions, for being so complimentary. Some of y'all like Chris better than me. Some of y'all like me better than Chris. Some of y'all just like us both together. But we just thank you. We really, really do. I wanted to say that.
And I'm going to drop a little nugget on y'all.
What?
We are working on a new series called 7997 Eats, which is where we go to every single restaurant we can find in San Miguel.
Oh, not every one though. Not all
of them.
All 3,000 million.
And we review one dish each. So you get to see more of the city, all the restaurants. The restaurant scene here is incredible, constantly changing, evolving. So we hope you guys will enjoy that. Coming soon. And soon could mean 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. So on that note, we will see you guys next week.
Cuídate.
Area Scarface.
You were waiting on me.
I was.
I
Take
got
care and take a chance. Peace, y'all. This is the 7997 Podcast, your home for raw and honest conversation, featuring Chris and Jackie, with new episodes every Sunday, wherever you get your podcasts.